I think that I shall never see a poem as lovely as a tree. It's Joyce Kilmer, 1914. And lovely trees are what we have for you here on the Sacramento Tree Tour. 20 of the most magnificent trees Sacramento has to offer. And if that's not enough for a high quality tree tour, we have found and we're going to show you Sacramento's tallest tree. We're going to start right here in River Park. This is a virtual horticopia of majestic growth. And the tree behind me is a Quercus suber, or cork oak to you and me. Now the home behind here was built by a Portuguese contractor, and every time he built a house in this neighborhood, he planted a cork oak in the front yard from seeds that he personally carried back from the Azores. Now this home is owned by Bill and Judy Varios, and they say they love their tree and told us a story about some hawks that raised their family in this tree. But the thing that I find interesting about this tree is the bark. It's like made of cork or something.
We're here live at SMUD headquarters on 59th Street, because what would a tree tour be without, you guessed it, a pine tree. This is an Italian stone pine, number 149 on the SMUD tree map. You hear that irritating noise in the background? That's Highway 50. That's part of the story behind this tree. In the 1950s, they dug up all the dirt from that area, planted over here, planted hundreds of trees. Among them, this beautiful Italian stone pine. Now it's native to the Mediterranean region, but what really wets my noodle is the smell. Ah, ragu.
Follow us now into the nifty 50s. We're on 58th Street between Jay and Folsom. Our staff here at Sac TV has located this beautiful coast redwood. Now the coast redwood is the tallest living thing on this earth. On this earth! In fact, this one is over 110 feet tall, and 30 years ago, it had 30 feet cut off what could have been the tallest tree in Sacramento. Look at the color of this bark. This is a beautiful tree. Anybody would love to have this tree in their front yard, except for one body, the owner. He says it's a mess, and he wants it cut down and sent to the big Presto log factory in the sky.
Now we move from the nifty 50s to the fab 40s. And one of the things that makes them fab are trees like this. The owner says this is the second largest valley oak in Sacramento. Now besides dropping leaves and acorns, it also drops little things called oak galls. Now oak galls are formed in response to the sting of a wasp. Another interesting thing about this tree are these large growths. The tree is formed over railroad spikes pounded in by kids over 40 years ago in order to climb this tree. Now this valley oak is over 300 years old, but for the last 100 or so, it's been slowly dying, much like a Jay Leno monologue.
Nearly 100 years ago, somebody knelt in this very spot and planted one in a row of Mexican fan palms. And some of them are still standing. This row of Mexican fan palms was originally planted here along streetcar tracks in McKinley Park. Now, you're probably asking yourself, why include a Mexican fan palm on a Sacramento tree tour? Because look at it. This is one freaky tree. I mean, it's 94 feet tall, and I can put my arms around it. It's like dancing with Kate Moss.
Our next stop on the Sacramento Tree Tour is this English elm, located at 26th and F Street. Now, it may not be the biggest or the best, but looking for the best elm in downtown Sacramento is like trying to find the weirdest Jackson family member. There's just too many. Check out this dark ring here. Although this tree avoided the grasp of the dreaded Dutch elm disease, it was attacked by elm leaf beetles. They climb up the tree, eat the leaves, fall down, and climb back up again. Finally, the city sprayed a ring of poison around the tree and killed the beetles. Dan Paskowski, the city arborist, said it was the biggest beetle invasion since 1964.
This next tree is undoubtedly the most popular tree in Sacramento. In fact, this camphor tree is the personal favorite of Ray Trethewey. He's the executive director of the Tree Foundation. It's located right here at 18th and Capitol Avenue, right here in front of Java City. And when you come to look at this tree, stop and get out of your car and take a walk around and take a close look, because this is an amazing tree. I mean, one look at this tree will give you a bigger buzz than a triple espresso white mocha latte with ketchup.
Much like the camphor tree we just visited, the amazing thing about this tree is its awesome roots. Here at Fremont Park, between 15th and 16th on P Street, stands a stately southern magnolia. This low-maintenance, flowering tree invites you to sit underneath its dense canopy and enjoy the shade.
I'm now standing in front of the most photographed house in Sacramento, and we're here to see a flaming chorizo. And no, that's not the bartender it faces, yet this rather unusual tree at the corner of 21st and T Streets. We call this tree Spike. It's from Brazil. And the owners, Alice and Bill Smith, they brought this from San Diego about 10 years ago. These big sharp spikes, these sharp spikes keep away the squirrels and the most enthusiastic tree huggers. Ow.
Our next stop is on Easy Street, or what the locals like to call 4th and T. When you approach this black walnut, you can't help but be in awe of its size and its precarious lean to the south. And its roots, they seem to melt right into the gutter. And when the walnuts fall, they hit the cars like Rush Limbaugh hitting a buffet table. And to think of all the noon times I spent trolling these streets with a crisp $20 bill and never even noticed this magnificent tree.
What exactly are we looking for in a tree? We like to sit under its shade. We like to stand back and admire its beauty. And most of all, we like to climb it. And folks, we found us a climber here in Land Park on Marion Way. This camphor tree is just a begging to be climbed. In fact, the gentleman who lives here, Mr. Bob Lang, he saw this tree and he said, I want to climb that tree. So he bought the house and he climbed the tree. Now, just like the one at Java City, this is a camphor tree, and camphor has been used for medicinal purposes since the days of Marco Polo. It's also used in soaps and inks, and in very large amounts, Alec Baldwin's hair gel.
The standard against which all other shade trees are measured is the Ulmus americana, the American elm. But the story of this tree on 8th Avenue begins about 10 houses down. The man who built this ranch house at 8th Avenue Riverside decided the best way to guide people sailing down the river to his house was to plant a row of giant trees. There are 18 elms on the street, and this one is the largest. Among its many achievements are the crushing of a car, the housing of a raccoon family, and putting the Pope in Pulp Fiction.
This next tree reminds me of my fourth wife. Look, but don't touch. This is a classic David and Goliath story. In 1948, this strapping young Modesto ash was attacked by a strangling ivy. The city said it was a goner. In fact, they even stopped pruning it. But you know, this guy had too much to live for. It wasn't his time. The fat lady had not sung yet. He wasn't quite ready to pack up his trunk.
We get the point.
In the 1990s, the owners, Don and Margaret Rickey, they noticed that the ivy leaves were drying up, falling away. Goliath had beaten the pesky David. It's a 21st century twist on a classic fairy tale.
There are over 5,000 trees at Land Park, and we here at Sacramento Tree Tour take our jobs very seriously. After exhaustive research, traveling around town in our yellow limousine, we found what we think is the biggest tree in Land Park. This eucalyptus here on Sutterville Road. Now, the eucalyptus is the most widely planted non-native tree in California. It grows big and fast and is believed to aid in the treatment of malaria. And as proof of that, not only is this tree only 4 years old, never been sick a day in his life. Remember the story of the ugly duckling? The pitiful youth that grew into a beautiful swan? Well, folks, some things never make it out of the ugly phase. We're at Bonfleth Park on Fruit Ridge Road, and this is a bald cypress. Although it's a decaying old tree, you can't help but marvel at its interlocking limbs, which seem to form secret cubby holes which might hide secret treasures. Now here is an example of the lost art of tree carving. Some bonehead left his mark on this pitiful old tree. It's enough to make a willow weep.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what a tree tour is all about. You have to come out and see and touch this amazing tree. This is a giant of a California sycamore over here on Riverside Boulevard. The Latin name for this tree is Platanus racemosa, which is named after Plato, the Greek philosopher. And it's been said that he taught classes under a giant sycamore just like this one. Now, we tried to reach Plato for an interview and he didn't return any of our calls. We understand he's vacationing at his beachfront property in Rio Linda. As one of our trees earlier had a family of hawks, another had a family of raccoons, this one houses a family of owls and apparently red ants.
Our next tree is located way down south, where the Sacramento River makes a snakish curve to form a sanctuary of river bottom land we locals like to call the pocket. Now, trees like to grow real big in the pocket, and this willow tree here at Mary Hill School is no exception. The willow is known as the tree of love. Hippocrates, that Greek cat, used to make potions from the bark of the willow. Other ancients believed that a wand made from the willow could give the holder moon magic. Perhaps a wand much like this one. Well, maybe we'll try it again later on.
They say things grow big in Texas. Well, they haven't been to the pocket. This tree behind me is a Texas-sized Fremont cottonwood. First mentioned by John Fremont, who the tree is named after, this tree was constantly written about by the pioneers of the 19th century. On a sad note, the cottonwoods are all but gone in Sacramento. They're thought of as messy, unwanted trees. And folks, if you're just going to get out to see one tree on this tree tour, come and see this tree. This is an old tree. It may be here for another 100 years, or it may fall over next week. So appreciate this tree while you can. And if you're looking for some firewood, call us at 1-900-Cottonwood.
Our next tree is for you guys out there. We took a poll and found out most men's favorite trees are the mighty valley oak. In the immortal words of Al Bundy, we found us some biggins. Two gargantuan valley oaks located here at Marriott Park off I-5. You've got to come out here and see what appears to be the father and son team of trees. You can literally sit underneath these trees for hours and enjoy their beauty. I haven't seen two things this wooden since the Olsen twins.
Well, we promised to show you the tallest tree in Sacramento, and we here at the Sacramento Tree Tour keep our promises. And here it is, folks. Tree number 7 in Capitol Park. This coast redwood is the tallest tree in Sacramento. Planted around 1930, it stands over 147 feet tall. So that's all for now. Thank you for coming along for a ride on the Sacramento Tree Tour.